back everyone to the final week of the Wolfe Draft League. We have battled against Wolf, Shady Penguin, Pokey Aim, James Beck, Cybertron, and Uzi Gunner, and all we have left to face is Mountaih for our final week of the regular season. Right now we are 2-4, and it's actually a super close standings. With a win here, we could finish maybe in the middle of the pack depending on how everybody else does. If we lose, we are definitely coming in last. So the goal is not last. But to be honest, I've already accomplished so much more in this draft league than I ever thought that I would. I came into this season wanting one match win in such a stacked competitive field, and I thought even that was a stretch goal. So the fact that we have two is wild to me, and hopefully we can finish this season strong with another one. Mount is tough though. We battled each other in the Shuckle Premier League and he beat me pretty easily. So I'm eager to tackle this new matchup since our teams do look very different, and hopefully that helps me out. Mountaih's immunity idols consist of Meowscarada, Inteleon, Electivire, Illumise, Blaziken, Oranguru, Ursaluna Bloodmoon, Scraggy, Toxapex, and Copperajah. Mount has actually made some of the most roster transactions this season. Most of us made barely any changes, or none at all in my case. I think he did make some of those changes for the better though. Thinking ahead to our matchup, for example, he dropped Skiploom and Vileplume, and since we have Sand that could neutralize their chlorophyll abilities, I think that was a good call. Pledges were very scary though from this team, and Moon Ursaluna is just such a strong Pokemon. Mountaih also has two different forms of speed control he could rely upon, with the Tailwind from Illumise or Trick Room from Meowscarada or Oranguru, so there are quite a few different strategies he could rely upon here. For pledges, there are three types of pledge moves: Fire, Water, and Grass, and those moves are exclusively learned by first partner Pokemon. And the Simmies for some reason, and Mew because it learns everything. But immediately I have to be concerned about the pledge moves since Mountaih has Meowscarada, Inteleon, and Blaziken, all which can use the pledge moves and activate unique field effects. The pledge moves by themselves are not super powerful, with each individually dealing damage with 80 base power and a same type attack bonus. But if two pledge moves are used on the same turn, then the ally moving first does not actually attack, and the moves combine into a more powerful version of the move and creates special field effects. When Grass and Fire Pledge are used together, the ally moving second will use Fire Pledge with a base power of 150 and create a Sea of Fire on the target side of the field for 4 turns. Sea of Fire damages all non-fire type Pokemon for 1/8 of their maximum HP at the end of every turn. Think Gigantamax Charizard's G-Max Wildfire, except a little weaker. Meowscarada and Blaziken actually combo together quite nicely. Since Blaziken is naturally slower, it will always be the one to move second and use Fire Pledge with the increased base power. We have no fire type Pokemon on our roster except for Fleshender, and when a lot of our Pokemon are naturally bulky, that damage really starts to add up when it's a guaranteed 1/8 of their maximum HP at the end of every single turn. When Fire and Water Pledge are used together, the ally moving second will use Water Pledge with a base power of 150 and create a rainbow for their side of the field to use. The rainbow doubles the probability of additional move effects taking place, such as Rock Slide flinching enemies. This one feels like a lot of investment for Pokemon that don't need their moves activating secondary effects to win. I am mostly worried about this combination because it means that Blaziken is on the team, a Pokemon that can really start to get out of hand with its speed boost ability granting +1 speed at the end of every turn. When Grass and Water Pledge are used together though, this is the most scary scenario. The ally moving second will use Grass Pledge with a base power of 150 and create a Swamp on the target side of the field for 4 turns. Swamp quarters the speed of Pokemon affected by it, so it is worse than getting paralyzed, and you're taking big damage when it happens. Not only are Meowscarada and Inteleon both faster than my entire team, so Mount could create the Swamp Field effect pretty easily if he wanted to, but it's also really easy to ensure that Inteleon moves first, so that it's Meowscarada that will be the one to use Grass Pledge at the increased base power. From there, Mount can bring in a lot of his slower Pokemon without needing to set up Trick Room. It is easy to see the starter Pokemon on Mount's team and get tunneled into the pledge moves, but these Pokemon all provide more value beyond just those moves. Meowscarada, for example, is super fast and with Protean has a unique advantage to change its type before we even attack. This may allow Meowscarada to get defensive value without having to invest into a Terra type. It also just gets a ton of coverage moves that make great use of its Protean ability, since it will get a same type attack bonus to whatever move it uses first. By far one of Meowscarada's greatest assets though is its access to a signature move, Flower Trick, which is a grass type attack that always lands a critical hit and bypasses the accuracy check. Since we've used Sandvale Garchomp and also have leaned heavily on Tyranitar into the past, I think Meowscarada could get a lot of damage up front into us while also weaving around all of our dodges. And as I said before, Meowscarada also learns Trick Room, alongside a myriad of other supportive options like Taunt, Fake Tears, Charm, and Helping Hand, so it could also come as fast support this week. Inteleon is a fast special attacker with a super cool ability, Sniper, which deals more damage when a move lands a critical hit. Inteleon learns two moves that have an increased critical hit ratio, Air Cutter and Snipe Shot. Holding a scope lens increases the chance of these moves to crit about half of the time. That is an unfun 50-50 when Inteleon is going to be doing more damage if it lands a critical hit. Luckily though, Rainbow does not increase the critical hit chance, so we're good. Snipe Shot is a particularly interesting move as the signature move of Inteleon because it ignores redirection like Follow Me. Outside of this though, I worry about Inteleon having Ice Beam and that's about it. It's fast and does big damage. As for the Blaziken, it can be fast. With its speed boost ability, it gets +1 to its speed at the end of every turn. If Blaziken is fully invested in speed, it can protect for one turn, get a speed boost, and then all of a sudden it outspeeds over half of my Pokemon. It can also be either a physical or special attacker. It has good stats for both. As a dual fighting and fire type Pokemon, I am hoping I have enough Pokemon on my team that Mount is scared to bring it, because with speed boosts and super effective fighting type attacks, Blaziken has a good matchup into Tyranitar, and it can also go for fast coaching next to any of Mount's other Pokemon. In particular, I see coaching being paired well with Meowscarada and Copperajah. Blaziken will need a turn to outspeed Meowscarada with a speed boost, but Copperajah is so slow naturally that Blaziken doesn't need any speed boosts to be faster than it. Copperajah has a very high HP stat and hits hard, so it can utilize those defense and attack boosts well to withstand things like Garchomp, Tyranitar, and Gyarados, all Pokemon we are bringing to this week's matchup. One of the wildest strategies Mount can go for is Heavy Slam Copperajah. Heavy Slam calculates its base power based on the difference in weight between the user and its target. Copperajah weighs 650 kilograms, but its ability Heavy Metal doubles its weight to 1,300 kilograms. The heaviest Pokemon on our team, can you guess it right? It's Gyarados, weighing in at 235 kilograms. Tyranitar is the second heaviest though at 202 kilograms. So if you guessed Tyranitar, you do get half credit because I also thought it was Tyranitar until I scoured the data archives. If the target of Heavy Slam weighs less than 20% of the user's HP, then Heavy Slam will deal 120 base power. Based on my calculations, Copperajah will always do 120 base power Heavy Metal Heavy Slams into all of my Pokemon. Copperajah also gets the ability Sheer Force, so every move with a secondary effect will get a 30% boost to its damage, but loses all chance of that secondary effect activating. So for example, Copperajah learns Iron Head, which has a chance to flinch the target. But with Sheer Force, Iron Head becomes stronger, but you no longer get the chance to flinch. Same thing with Rock Slide or Zen Headbutt. On a lot of these physical moves, I kind of feel like a lot of their power does hinge on those secondary effects activating. So in my opinion, I think that special attackers using Sheer Force get a lot more value out of this ability because a special attack drop from Moonblast or some type of speed drop doesn't really matter as much in the long run. I don't feel like you're always fishing for those stat drops to help you win a game. You're fishing for things like flinches or paralysis or something like that. I would expect that the heavy metal variant of Copperajah is a little stronger and more likely to come this week, so I definitely need to watch out for Trick Room setup. Copperajah also learns a lot of very powerful physical ground type attacks like High Horsepower and Stomping Tantrum, and since our team does have 3 Steel Terrestrializations and a rock on it, we do need to play carefully around that too. We do have a lot of flying type Pokemon that would otherwise be immune to ground type attacks, so who's to say? As for the other big damage threat on Mount's team, we have to talk about the Blood Moon Ursaluna. Blood Moon Ursaluna has quickly become one of the stars of this format because it is bulky and has very reliable sources of special attack damage with its signature move Blood Moon, Hyper Voice, and Earth Power. On top of that, Ursaluna's ability Mind's Eye allows Ursaluna to hit Ghost-type Pokemon with its normal-type attacks. Hopefully a Selfless Tyranitar can do a good job in front of that Pokemon this week, as I suspect that it is a must-bring for Mountaih in this matchup. Blood Moon is a super powerful signature move on Ursaluna. It is 140 base power and is 100% accurate. The move is so powerful that the game designers balanced it by not allowing the move to be selected 2 turns in a row. There is actually a way that Mount can get around that, and that's by using Instruct and Encore from Oranguru. Oranguru is not just the premier trick room setup for Caparajah. With Instruct, it can tell Ursaluna to do it again, and Ursaluna will use Blood Moon right away and on the same turn. Imagine! Blood Moon is already such a strong move that you can't use it 2 turns in a row, and then Oranguru just says, yes you can, do it twice, in the same turn! Instruct will also work in combination with any of the other Pokemon that Mount has. Once Trick Room is set up, Oranguru can also help out its naturally faster allies by using the move After You, which allows the Pokemon Oranguru targeted to move right away. Oranguru also learns Encore, Taunt, and a bunch of other annoying support moves. The rest of Mount's team is really just extra supportive options. I don't really see a place for the Electivire in this matchup, and everything else feels niche or fulfilling a very specific role. Illumise is there to provide Tailwind and Encore support, and with Prankster it gets increased priority on all of that. You can hate all you want, but that is actually the correct pronunciation for that Pokemon. Scraggy is slow for Trick Room, but it gives Mount Intimidate, Fake Out, and Coaching support. And then Toxapex can go for Recover Stall with its Regenerator ability. It also gets Toxic to Poison Pokemon, which helps to enable this stall strategy. In summary, Mount has Tailwind and faster Pokemon like Meowscarada and Inteleon, but I'm more worried about him setting up Swamp for speed control. On the flip side, Mount has a clear Trick Room angle leaning on the Blood Moon Ursaluna and Caparajah with Oranguru for setup and enabling. Ultimately, I can see a use case for every Pokemon on Mount's roster, so it's up to us to come up with something that has enough tools to deal with the unexpected. That's why for this week, we're relying on good old faithful Disquake. I think it is funny that I haven't used this strategy yet because it was a clear vision I had when the Pokemon draft team came together. We have Rotom Mow that can go for Discharge and Garchomp that can go for Earthquake without either of the Pokemon dealing damage to one another. Rotom Mow has the ability Levitate, so it is immune to ground type attacks, and Garchomp is a ground type, so it is naturally immune to electric type attacks. Rotom is holding a Choice Scarf to make sure it can outspeed Mount's faster threats like Meowscarada and Inteleon, but also to outspeed max speed Blaziken even after a speed boost. Discharge is fun, but Rotom is also running Electroweb to make sure that Mount can't get the jump on our faster threats like Garchomp and Scyther. Rotom also has Volt Switch to pivot out of sticky situations, and Leaf Storm for powerful grass same type attack bonus damage, especially into Blood Moon Ursaluna. Speed Control could end up being the name of the game this week, and we have more than just Electroweb. Fletchinder will give us priority Tailwind support through its Gale Wings ability, and Scyther will also be offering us Tailwind support, albeit without priority, but with a lot more bulk. Fletchinder is also holding the Sharp Beak, which will give it enough of a boost to its flying type damage that Fletchinder should be able to pick up a knockout on a Meowscarada with Dual Wing Beat, even if it's holding a Focus Sash. Scyther is going to be annoying for Mount to remove. Holding its favorite item, Eviolite, it offers a ton of offensive pressure with Dual Wing Beat, threatening a knockout into 5 of his Pokemon. U-Turn can also allow me to reposition easily while doing pretty solid damage against some of the beefier guys like Oranguru. Garchomp's main role this week is going to be threatening strong neutral hits into most of Mount's team, but if he does decide to bring some of those more niche options like the Toxapex or the Electivire, then Garchomp's ground type damage could really pop off. It's holding the Clear Amulet just in case Scraggy makes an appearance. Something you also may have noticed about the team this week is that every single Pokemon is immune to Garchomp's Earthquake except Tyranitar. So if Earthquake is well positioned, I shouldn't have too much trouble positioning myself to take advantage of it. The defensive backbone of the team is going to be Tyranitar, back with its classic Assault Vest set. I'm running Terra Flying on Tyranitar for that Earthquake immunity, but Fletchinder and Scyther have the flying coverage sorted. So instead of Terra Blast, I've decided to put high horsepower on Tyranitar just to allow it to hit a potential Toxapex better. Finally, we have Gyarados. Gyarados is running Taunt to try to prevent Mount's Oranguru from finding too much value, and also Thunder Wave for one final method of speed control. Mount has a lot of ways around Intimidate, but it's also nice to have as well. The plan this week is pretty simple. Win the speed control war, trade positively, and profit. And hopefully I get to do the funny Discharge and Earthquake thing. Let's get into it. Alrighty, time to play Mount for our final match of the Wolfe Draft League. Going to see the Blood Moon Ursaluna. We also have the Meowscarada and the Inteleon, so I do think that Swamp Pledge is on the table. And then we have a slower portion of this team that's centered around the Oranguru and the Kaparaja. Illumise can set the Tailwind, so it's also very possible that having the Oranguru here could be a fake out. It might just end up being bait for us to not consider a faster Blood Moon Ursaluna variant. Taking a look at this, I'm kind of thinking that I do still want to go for the same game plan. Having Tyranitar is going to be really nice, I think, in the back, but I think there isn't really a whole lot right now that I feel like is going to threaten the Garchomp outside of something like the Ice Beam on the Inteleon. And then we do have the Rotom that can help us pivot, do some things against like the slower mode, and I don't know, maybe Scyther is better here. Maybe it's gonna be like a Scyther Tyranitar. Scyther's actually pretty fast, so I think that could be very nice. I guess we technically could have had the Prankster Tailwind from the Fletchender, but I want to see if Scyther can actually do some good work for us this week. Alright, so we've got Inteleon and the Illumise. So already we're taking a look at Prankster Tailwind, able to be set up. And I think taking a look at this, I'm not super threatened by just going for like Discharge. There's no ground resist, and the fact that there's no Toxapex either, I think I'm kind of like good to go. I think I'm just gonna go for like I think I'm just gonna go for Discharge and yeah, there's no Blaziken. I think I can just do this. Oh, although I'm gonna hurt myself, so maybe I don't. Maybe it's just like an Electro Web angle, and it is going to just be a Terrestrialization and just hit Earthquake. I'm so glad that I remembered that. Technically, I could actually discharge myself, but I don't want to do that. And I really don't want to get jump scared right now by a random Ice Beam. It is just going to be Rain Dance from the Illumise, so there's no Tailwind. And in fact, I think this is even better for us because Rotom gets to go for the Electro Web first. Since we're Choice Scarf, it is going to be able to drop the speed on both the Illumise and the Inteleon. So that's not Covert Cloak. We do just get the Earthquake into the Inteleon. I hope this is just a knockout. Perfect start for us with the Inteleon being knocked out. We just have to really take care of this Illumise. So I think the Electro Web is going to be nice, so at least continue to lock into. Illumise could still go for something like the Tailwind, but we've got fast Electro Web. So let's see what Mount actually brings in the back. There's no Inteleon. Setting the rain would have been really nice for it, so now I kind of wonder what's actually back there. The Pokemon's called Trying Hard. Okay, now it's not amazing that I can't just keep going for the Electro Web here, but I could very well still go for something like the Earthquake, but I kind of think that Rock Slide is just a little bit cleaner. Now, the downside to this is that obviously Garchomp is going to be taking a lot of damage from the Earth Powers or something like that. So you know what? Maybe I just Protect here and I just try to go for at least... Oh, right. I can't do that. Maybe I just... it's tough. I'm just gonna go for the Electro Web, I guess. I'm trying to think if there's anything that this Blood Moon could do that will punish this turn. Since we see the Tailwind set up by the Illumise, we're just gonna go ahead and stall out a turn here with the Protect, so that's not like too bad. But I really need to consider... Oh my gosh, this is even better actually. Take out my Rotom for me. I think this is a way better position for me now. Can't use Blood Moon on this next turn. I could get the Tyranitar in, but I also could just get the Scyther in and go for a Tailwind myself. I don't think that that's a horrible idea. I'm gonna do it. Then we have one extra turn of Tailwind. But I think I'm still... I don't know if my Garchomp is actually faster anymore. that is a little bit scary. And I don't want to switch my Tyranitar in to move here. I think we'll just actually... Yeah, we'll just try to Tailwind if we can. We'll get some information as well about kind of the speed tiers between both of these Pokemon. Ideally, I'm in a position where... Oh, it has Helping Hand. Oh, that might not be very good. I mean, that's kind of okay. I'm not really sure what I could have expected there. I at least do get to set up the Tailwind, but the bigger problem here is that... this Blood Moon Ursaluna might be faster than my Tyranitar. Alright, so Blood Moon Ursaluna, it has Life Orb. I do get the Tailwind set up, which is going to be nice to actually match the Illumise. But I'm a little nervous now that the Tyranitar is actually not going to be able to keep up. I do have Low Kick. I actually wonder if it's an angle of going for like Low Kick as well as a dual Wing Beat into the Ursaluna. I'm not super confident that this actually picks up the knockout, and the Ursaluna could just protect. But I'm hoping to cover Terrestrialization here. Best case scenario, we get the Low Kick into the Ursaluna, and then we're able to do enough damage that the Scyther is going to be able to pick it off. Or we get out the Terrestrialization, and this is also something that we might actually get some benefit from. Now the Low Kick is not going to do a whole lot, but hopefully we can actually do enough, and then Tyranitar can take a hand attack. Oh, the Illumise has Encore! I should have remembered that! Oh my goodness, that's not good. All right. It's got Encore, it's got Tailwind, and now this Illumise can also just Encore into my... Ooh, I think I lose. That was a lot of damage. So it's got Blood Moon, it has Earth Power, it has Moon Blast. Oh boy. And we didn't get a chance to see what the Inteleon is actually going to do. Alright, so I actually think that I can't... Yeah, I don't think I can win this now. At least this Ursaluna has actually taken a lot of damage, but I might just be stuck kind of just going for a Low Kick here. Maybe I should have just locked myself into Rock Slide so I didn't get... yeah. Because now I have how many more turns of Encore? 2? Yeah, I don't really have a choice here. I can just only go for Tailwind, and it's going to fail every single time. Wait. Why did Mountaih switch out the Illumise? I really thought that I would just get Low Kicked here. Oh, but the Ursaluna is so tanky. But we get the flinch! Okay, actually, we're still in this, maybe? Okay. No, I think it's still gonna be really hard. There is no Tailwind anymore, so we actually do get one more turn where we can actually just go for the Rock Slide here, and then Scyther is still Encored, right? Yeah, so I'm stuck just going for Tailwind, which is kind of annoying, but Tyranitar in Tailwind is very good. We probably don't get the outspeed on the Meowscarada, so I think the Tyranitar still gets knocked out. But if for some reason we are faster in Tailwind, or Mount decides to go for a Protect onto any of these Pokemon, I think we're in this. There's no Terrestrialization for the Meowscarada. Yeah, so I'm stuck having to go for Tailwind here, which is not ideal. And the Tyranitar is faster, so we actually do get the Rock Slide to connect on both. And we get the flinch onto the Meowscarada, and then double flinch onto the Ursaluna! Oh my goodness! No way! Like, I still don't think we're out of this yet because... Oh, wait, no, we are. Oh my god! We actually are getting bailed out so hard in this game. I cannot believe it. It's a double KO from the Sandstorm onto the Ursaluna and the Meowscarada. I actually think Mountaih just... I think Mountaih should have just gone... Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, like, I feel like the Illumise should have just stayed in to go for the Encore into the Tyranitar. But you can't because it's a dark type. That's why he switched it out. I do not believe it. I actually do not believe it. That's the power of Prankster. And we missed the dueling beat. Like, maybe I should have just locked in something that can actually connect, but we actually win game 1. That's insane. I feel so bad for Mount after that game 1. I got so unbelievably lucky. For this game number 2, I wonder if Mount is going to stick to the same strategy, leading the Illumise and the Inteleon. But I could also see him trying to go the Trick Room route since he knows that I have the Tailwind on the Scyther. That leads me to believe that Gyarados could be good. I only really have to deal with something like an Ice Beam from the Inteleon. And the Moonblast being on the Ursaluna might be quite nice. I think this is good. And maybe we still go with Garchomp. Oh, maybe it's a Tyranitar angle. But I could go for Fletchinder. But Rotom was so good. If I wasn't choice locked into the Electro Web, I think maybe I could have... Alright, I think it's Tyranitar just to bring that in the back in case we set Tailwind. And then I'm not super sure that I hate the idea of actually just having the Terra flying. And then maybe I can just go for... Ooh. No, I'll go for Rotom. We'll try it. I think that the Rotom could be good because if Mount actually does lean onto the Blood Moon Ursaluna, then we do have the Levitate to deal with it. But of course, you actually have the Blood Moon there as well. It's the Oranguru is the switch up, and this is exactly what I want to see here. Don't get the Intimidate drop onto it, and the Intimidate drop's not going to matter onto the actual Ursaluna. Doesn't matter onto the Oranguru either. But I think this is certainly a scenario where I can just go for a taunt into the Oranguru and hit it. I could honestly probably U-turn off of the Ursaluna as well. Maybe bring in Rotom. What is the Oranguru's type? It's fighting? Yeah, I think maybe I'll just U-turn. Oranguru could also go for, like, after you and then try to use something twice. Oranguru is actually kind of scary, but since the Gyarados is faster than the Oranguru, this taunt should be able to shut off any of those supportive options that it would want to go for. So it can't go for Trick Room, it cannot go for things like the After You, and thank goodness, I think, we survived this Blood Moon from the Ursaluna. Gyarados will be faster. We also have the Rotom in, and there's no Trick Room available, so I think this Oranguru is going to have to switch out. Thinking about what could be in the back might be really good for us. I have to plan around if Mount goes for Protect here, can I actually get valuable damage into the Oranguru? Since I taunted it, it can't Protect, and Ursaluna cannot go for Blood Moon again. So maybe I actually just try to go for damage into that other slot. Whatever could come in. Could be the Inteleon, it could be the Meowscarada. I guess Caparaja could be in the back as well since he's trying to lean into this. But maybe I just go for damage here. I'm gonna lock in a Leaf Storm. I'd like for Gyarados to actually do something and hit. Okay, so it is going to be the Inteleon. Leaf Storm into the Ursaluna. One-hit knockout! Basically, after it actually does a lot of recoil to itself, but the Blood Moon Ursaluna being knocked out, I think is super good for us. Waterfall doesn't do a whole lot to the Inteleon, but we're so fast on our Rotom. I wonder if we are faster than the Inteleon with our Choice Scarf. We did make a special attack drop, but I think that Inteleon is frail enough. We might be able to just try to go for the KO onto it. Now, Paparaja is an interesting Pokemon, because it's kind of hard to tell what it's going to end up doing here. But since it's only a Steel type, I don't want it to go for Body Press. I am just going to try to go for a Taunt into the Paparaja and go for some damage into the Inteleon. If we can deal with the Inteleon and we get the Taunt into the Paparaja to deny something like the Body Press, we should be pretty far ahead. There's a Terrestrialization, and it is the Inteleon, so it's going to take that Ghost Terra. Now we're not doing super effective damage, but we're still doing stab major damage with this Leaf Storm. But at -2 special attack, yeah, it's actually not going to be able to get the knockout here. Now this makes me just a little bit nervous. Okay, we have the Ice Beam. I'm so glad that we confirmed that that's actually on the Inteleon. But now this Terrestrialization has been spent. There's not really a way to get around that now. And with the Taunt into the Paparaja, it's going to be just locked into any of these attack options. And knowing that it has Rock Slide now gives us a lot to think about heading into our next turn. I have to be a little bit nervous about what this Paparaja can do. It does have an enormous attack stat. But I don't think that the Inteleon can actually deal with us. Ooh. I think I have to use the Terrestrialization on my Scyther. Do I need this Tailwind? I don't think so. I'm just gonna KO the Inteleon. Inteleon moves first because it's the fastest thing on the field, but I would like my Scyther to actually get through this. Now, if we don't get the knockout onto the Paparaja, we might be toast. If it's locked though, I mean, this is gonna do a bit, but we have the Assault Vest, so that's nice. Okay, we don't get frozen. Get the KO onto the Inteleon. Now it's just the Oranguru and this Paparaja left. Trick Room could be a huge problem for us, so I do want to make sure that we don't actually fall to that. But if we can get the knockout with high horsepower, we're going to be good. Oh, it's not enough. Paparaja is so tanky, but it's locked into Rock Slide for this. This is tough. I mean, ideally, I'm just going to be able to deal with this Oranguru. I think Mount's only option now is to go for Protect on the Paparaja and go for a Trick Room onto the Oranguru. So I think what I want to do here is I do just actually want to try to get... I'll try to get good damage into the Oranguru here. Maybe I should have just gone for Rock Slide. I wasn't super sure how much this would do. Oh, the Colbur Berry's so smart. Alright, so maybe I should have just gone for the KO. I was really thinking that the Caparaja would just protect there. So maybe I just threw this game too. Oh, that's right, it was taunted. It couldn't even go for protect. I cannot believe that I did that. Well, I am just gonna go for a protect now because my options are to get some more information out of this Caparaja, and now I'm actually kicking myself. I forgot that I set up taunt, so it couldn't have protected. And I could have actually just gone for the KO here. But with the Iron Head, that's really interesting. Maybe there is no... I'm so lucky. Okay, maybe there's an out. The Sandstorm damage is going to deal that final chip to the Oranguru. I did get the Culver Berry reveal, so that did weaken those attacks. It does have Trick Room. This Caparaja right now, it only has Iron Head. I mean, this is like not great, right? I think I just have to go for dual Wing Beat and pray. I mean, the Iron Head is resisted. Please don't flinch, please don't flinch, please don't flinch. I think we can make it through this. Whew. All right. We have 2 more turns of Tailwind, sorry, Trick Room, so I am going to protect through this one, stall out 1 more turn. This Caparaja seems like it is just locked into... Or it has Rock Slide and it has Iron Head. So the fact that Mount is only trying to fish for Iron Head flinches right now leads me to believe that there isn't actually any ground type attack on this. But I think we've successfully done it. As long as you don't miss dual Wing Beat here, I think we're okay. Maybe I should have gone for the U-turn instead. It just guarantees damage if we don't get flinched. But Mount could still go for Iron Head here to try to fish for the flinch, and thankfully we do resist it. So we have 2 turns to actually hit this, but we do it! That's it! We win the game and we win the set! Oh my gosh! I thought we were toast! I genuinely cannot believe that we won that set. Oh, game 1 started off super well with the immediate KO onto the Inteleon. But in turn 2, I probably should have swapped in my Tyranitar for the Rotom Bow, which is typically a safe play because I should never expect to see a ground type attack heading towards a Levitate Pokemon. This would have left my options open for pivoting in the late game. Being down a Pokemon made it really challenging for me to actually stall out Mount's turns of Tailwind, and it put me into a position where I kind of needed to be bailed out by something. The double Rock Slide flinch definitely helped. But even before that, I was surprised that Mount didn't just go for Helping Hand Moonblast into my Tyranitar after he landed the first one. Maybe he thought I would go for Protect, but I do think that's a knockout into my Tyranitar and he just wins the game from there, instead of swapping the Illumise out for later. In game 2, I felt like that game was otherwise super flawless, especially that endgame playing out those final couple of Trick Room turns. But it should have never gotten to that point. I definitely should have remembered that I had taunted the Caparaja so that it couldn't go for Protect on the turn that Oranguru went for Trick Room. So then it's just a high horsepower into the Caparaja, get the knockout, and Oranguru alone by itself in Trick Room. GG's to Mountaih though, and congratulations to him for making playoffs! Yes! And congratulations to everyone else for completing an amazing regular season of the Wolfe Draft League. While my season ends here, I am so beyond grateful for the opportunity, and I feel like I improved a lot at the Pokemon Draft League experience. So thank you so much to Wolfe for inviting me to be a part of this, and to all of you for watching and continuing to support me and the shoutcasting Sylveons throughout this entire season. See you all again soon!